From 1v1s to 1v4s, League of Legends has had no shortage of insane outplays in its competitive history that have left viewers amazed and players around the world astonished, starting first with Cap's insane Sylas outplay against EG during MSI 2022. As most of you probably already know by this point, Caps is the undisputed GOAT of Europe and arguably of all Western players, as his knack for bringing League to another level both in innovation and skill is nearly unmatched across the world, especially when it comes to his ability to create plays from seemingly out of thin air. And as for this group stage matchup against EG, things would be no different. Now, headed into this game, G2 had already beaten EG 3 times prior during this group stage. However, in search of their 4th and final victory over the North American champions, despite the kills being imbalanced, things were actually pretty even, with the gold lead even favoring EG, who in hopes of expanding this advantage even further, sent 3 members bot to pick off the G2 mid laner and his respective bounty to establish more bot side control. However, they underestimated the combatability of Caps and what can happen when a fed Sylas is played to near perfection.
We don't got time for this. Caps is sleepy. Does have his Zonies back up though. A lot of damage with Caps. Gonna steal the Lily ulti, get a counter sleep, and it's not enough. Caps finally gonna go down as it backdoors. You are kidding me, Caps. You are absolutely absurd, ridiculous, insane Sylas play. Caps is still alive as inspired. Finally gets the shutdown.
And though later on EG will have their time to shine in one of the most hype outplays in LCS history, moving from baby faker Sylas to the legend himself piloting the ult-stealing burst mage, just a few months later during Worlds 2022, we saw one of the most hype 1v1s of the tournament, which had an unexpected outcome. You see, while Caps may have shown off his chain-wielding skills on the back of 4 kills and a fully stacked Dark Seal, during this group stage face-off against Cloud9, Faker wouldn't be so fortunate, as all things considered, his game hadn't been that great. Facing off against Cloud9's mid laner Jensen, which already has its own bit of narrative history, Faker found himself on the losing end of multiple instances throughout the course of the match, being first blooded, caught out, and overall just having either an off day or a bad game. However, thanks to a great performance by Gumayusi, T1 was able to place themselves in a great position to close things out, but even if the team was on C9's Nexus turrets, Faker still had a score he needed to settle, and after tracking down Jensen to prevent any chance of it from helping his teammates in defending their base, the 2 mid laners found themselves in the lower blue side jungle alone from assistance and in the perfect setting for a pure, uninterrupted 1 versus 1.
Alright, oh wait, here we go, the 1v1, honorable 1v1, Jensen up, currently 2-0, Faker, can he bring it back? Jensen, can he take the best of 5 against Faker in the 1v1? Oh, he does! That's all that matters! Can he get it? Shuriken flip, golden! Can he take the best of 5? Oh! Faker coming back! Faker with the stopwatch gets the last laugh! He takes down Jensen and T1 will take down Cloud9!
But for those who prefer a good amount of isolated combat in all their games, we of course have the island of top lane, which in the case of this LPL regional qualifier match included the inhabitants of both a crocodile and a ram. While TheShy is known for having some less than optimal moments throughout the course of his career, his notoriously aggressive playstyle has led to some incredibly sick moments, with this Game 3 matchup against top Esports being no exception. And as with the series being dead even, it was time for this world champion top laner to pull out all the stops in order to help save his team's season from being over. But despite being slightly ahead in the top lane, thanks in part to Renekton's early game strength, Wayward's Ornn managed to punish an overeager Engage, bringing TheShy's health bar incredibly low, whilst another world champion in Tion smelled blood in the water. However, even though for many this dive seemed nearly impossible to survive, playing on a nice edge is TheShy's comfort zone, and though he may not have had ult or very much fury to work with, this legendary top laner proved the age-old saying that sometimes the best defense is a great offense.
Tien coming over, flashing the wall, then he's gonna get it, the buckler, oh, TheShy gets the outplay in the end, and don't step to GigaShy!
And on the topic of making clutch plays under high stakes, if we turn back to around this time of the year in 2014, we would find ourselves looking at the high stakes of this NALCS promotion match between CLG and Curse Academy, who after claiming the first 2 games of the series with back-to-back wins, looked to upset this staple LCS team and secure their spot in the upcoming 2015 season in the process. However, headed into Game 3, CLG's Doublelift had other plans, racking up kills and building a lead on Curse Academy's bot lane, and notably their now famous support player, BunnyFuFu. With his champion selection being the iconic playmaking support Thresh, BunnyFuFu's role had evolved into one main task, shutting down Doublelift's rampant Tristana pick and trying to lock her down by any means necessary, and though the Yordle Gunner had already done some serious damage to this aspiring support and the rest of his team, BunnyFuFu was already one step ahead, and after collapsing on the CLG carry in the top lane, read the team's legendary ADC like a book.
Gold is almost released. Doublelift now in a lot of trouble.
What a play
Was incredible. Manages to catch him out of the flash as well. BunnyFuFu is a god. I'm putting it out right here. That was utterly stunning.
But though Doublelift will have his chance later on to prove his mechanically impressive outplay potential, turning to another legendary bot laner who is still active to this day, we have T1's Gumayusi, whose clutch factor kicked in at the right time during Game 4 of World Semifinals in 2023. Now this series had already been incredibly hyped, thanks in part to some insane plays made by Fenix Azir, which had pushed T1 to match point against the reigning MSI champions and tournament favorites JDG, who headed into the tournament had been near unstoppable throughout the course of the year. However, with T1 having international plot armor and of course the home crowd buff of being in Korea, their dream of ending what would have been League's first ever golden road seemed to be forming into a reality, and as T1's lead began to grow, it became clear that they were just one winning fight away from finally getting another shot at World's Finals. However, the main problem the roster faced was figuring out a way to shut down ruler Zeri, who had served as JDG's carry throughout the course of the game and still remained deathless even 27 minutes into the match. But with T1 being just one dragon short of Ocean Soul, this crucial fight was all but inevitable, and in one of the greatest displays of mechanical prowess that we've seen in recent memory, it was up to Gumayusi Varus to rise to the occasion.
A massive mistake. Carrion now going in. The ruler's untouched. Goes golden and now ruler looking to take over the fight. Ruler still standing. Guma firing back. Ruler goes down. Guma's just better.
Somehow, in a 1v2 situation, not only was Gumayusi able to dodge nearly all of the JDG duo's abilities, but practically on his own, he also killed both players in the process, resulting in Chronicler making an incredible voice crack. Though while Gumayusi has constantly brought ADC mechanics into the spotlight through his highlight reel of impressive plays, as for the bot lane's other half a whole decade before, Madlife was doing the same things with his insane support plays, notably on his legendary Thresh pick. You see, in the round of 16 group stage during the 2013 OGN champion Summer Split, CJ Frost found themselves faced off against Maximum Impact Gaming in their second meeting of this best of 2 series, and after having secured victory in Game 1 thanks in part again to Madlife's insane supporting abilities, the team locked in this terrifying Thresh pick in search of securing a 2-0 scoreline, which thankfully seemed to be a likely outcome. Due to picking up plenty of kills in the early game both on their mid laner and ADC, CJ Frost were able to quickly snowball the game out of control for MIG, having a crushingly high gold lead not even 20 minutes into the game. However, just because victory was all but guaranteed for this first seeded lineup, this didn't necessarily mean that Madlife was done showing off his insane Thresh mechanics, as even though Ezreal can be incredibly slippery with his Essence Flux E, it wouldn't be enough to escape the death sentence of the Chain Warden.
4 turrets to 0. It seems rather inconceivable that Blitz is going to be able to have a chance to come back. Wansuck again getting caught a bit. How does he hit every single one? How is that possible?
And though we already gave praise to T1's fearsome bot lane, it would be a crime not to mention their world's MVP top laner Zeus, and what happens when his Yone skills are put to the test in a seemingly unwinnable 1v3, as just this past year, this 20-year-old prodigy absolutely shattered the ankles of the Kwangdong Freaks during one of the first games of the LCK's 2024 Spring Split. After being beaten in a best of 3 in their previous series against the reigning LCK champions Gen G, T1 found themselves faced off against this notably easier opponent, something that the scoreline of the game clearly reflected, as Faker and Gumayusi had been running through their respective opposition. And as the game continued to slip through KDF's fingers, the team became increasingly desperate, looking for any semblance of an angle to claw their way back into the game, which with the low health Yone and top lane finally seemed to be a possibility. But despite sending 3 members up to practically guarantee this kill, without ult and just a third of a health bar, what seemed to be a certainty for KDF, Zeus turned into a miracle.
Okay, ulti gonna get him out of there as teleports coming in. Teleports from everywhere actually, as Faker's going to flash. Ult comes through from Bulldog there, as well as the flash forward from Dudu. Pulled back by the Infernal Chains, 900 gold goes to Cuz as Zeus is dashing forward. Not sure about that one, not dead for a little while. Actually manages to take down 2. Never you mind, he is a monster, it's a triple kill.
Now, while winning out a 1v3 under turret is still incredibly impressive, when it comes to turning around tower dives, you needn't look further than the insane reversal pulled off in 2015 by Team Liquid's mid laner Fenix. During week 5 in the LCS summer split, in a matchup versus fellow top dog CLG, Team Liquid managed to secure themselves an early lead off the back of Fenix Azir picking up a pair of kills in a slower paced regular season game. However, though the crowd hadn't had much to cheer about throughout the first 25 minutes or so, things were about to get much more exciting, as just like the previous play, CLG believed that Azir was no more than a sitting duck hiding under turret. But shortly after committing to the play, the team was quickly humiliated, as this bird was no duck, but rather a phoenix.
Every flash on people that escaped was burned, and they want Fenix in this turret.
Oh boy.
He's pretty strong though. What's he gonna do?
Oh, he got two! He's gonna get a triple kill! A quadra kill! An amazing play by Fenix on Azir!
But transitioning the excitement away from the LCS and heading into the intense competition of LCK's 2020 summer split, fans were treated to a highly anticipated matchup between second and third place teams DRX and Gen G, both of which boasting formidable rosters stacked with some pretty big names that even non-LCK fans should be able to recognize by this point. So it should probably go without saying that this match was indeed a very close one, with teams trading objectives and kills, as well as BDD's Zoe terrorizing DRX with scarily accurate paddle stars and sleepy trouble bubbles, as both teams continuously tried to claw their way out of this tense stalemate. And while initially it seemed that yet another handshake trade was going to occur, with Gen G securing Drake and opting to give up a top lane inhibitor in the process, DRX understood that Camille would be able to deal some serious Nexus turret damage if left alone with just Ornn to defend against her, and decided to engage on Gen G to keep her in this isolated matchup without outside interference. However, despite this fight being initiated by the recently rebranded roster, things began to look pretty rough for the second place squad, as BDD's incredibly fed Zoe once again rained fire on her opposition from 2 screens away, dishing out some real star powered pain in the process and securing Gen G a clean 2-0 victory in the bout, that is until Chovy did this.
And I think maybe the ruse was a bit too cunning. Oh, Chovy! Chovy gets back in the doubles there. Pyosik gonna bite down the Leona, and it takes another turn in the team fight. Pyosik running after Cleared, but now it's Ornn versus Camille.
Now this play was so insane that it single-handedly won the game for the team and eventually played a pivotal role in DRX taking victory in the series as a whole. However, when it comes to Korean players going practically 1v4, we of course have to talk about Huni's insane Riven play from Worlds 2015 and one of the most memorable outplays of the tournament's history. You see, after picking up first blood with the assistance of a gank by Reignover's Rek'Sai, Huni found himself with a decent first back purchase, something that would come in handy when he needed to emergency TP into the bot lane to resolve a dangerous situation involving 4 members of IG. And thanks to being up 2 levels on his lane opponent and 3 levels ahead of the enemy jungler and bot laners, Huni found himself in prime position to make a historically decisive play on Riven, but only if he could keep his composure and execute the champion's mechanics properly when it counted most.
On to Kitty's keeping alive. Reckless tries to zone the team out. This Annie's so low, but there come the teleports. Huni has arrived, and holy crap! Everyone's dying in this fight. Reckless goes down. Zatai gets a bunch back, but Huni, the double, the triple kill, the quadra kill for Huni.
However, even though there's really no topping Freak's iconic voice crack, when it comes to casters losing their minds and unleashing their inner fan, there's perhaps no better time to do so than in arguably one of the greatest clutches in the game's history, coming from the lower bracket finals of the LCS 2022 spring split. As with EG's Danny having been a pentakill machine in his short time in the professional scene, picking up 3 prior pentakills during that spring split alone, while his team's topside died shortly before his arrival to the Baron pit, the EG bot duo didn't shy away from this golden opportunity to turn the tides of game 1 of this series, as instead of playing things safe, Danny's Jinx saw Team Liquid's health bars and went guns a-blazing.
2v5 is possible. I mean, you're not going to stop the Baron, but you might get a team fight. He's going to shoot. You're kidding me! Centaurus fights early. Kill number 1. Here comes kill number 2. 26 for number 3. For 4. The king of pentakill. Oh my God! You gotta be kidding me!
Was not Danny with the most incredible play I have seen.
But returning back to Worlds group stages, during the group stage of Worlds 2017, Faker and SKT were looking to prove themselves against reigning LPL champions EDG during their first bout of the play-in stage. However, things got out of hand incredibly quickly for the second seeded Korean representatives, as despite the hype around the match, the first 30 minutes of the game was a blowout to say the least. With EDG being up 10,000 gold, 9 kills to 0, and 7 towers plus an inhibitor compared to SKT's mere 2 outer turrets, victory was practically guaranteed for the Chinese squad as they went to stop SKT's last-ditch effort to sneak away the Baron for themselves. However, while it both appeared and would make sense that SKT would try and stall out the game by denying such a crucial objective, they used EDG's lack of vision to their advantage, and contrary to the more reserved SKT playstyle, they decided to take a risk, and weaponizing the element of surprise would ultimately shock everyone.
They're saving the Drake round. They got two already. Bang is hiding. He's coming.
Bang looking to come in. Here comes your initiation. They're right through.
Oh my God.
Backdoor Shockwave will find them all. And SKT, with a hell of a response, will take down 4.
With Wolf's knock-up, Huni's silence, and of course Faker's Shockwave, SKT took this perfect storm of a teamfight and somehow managed to mount one of the largest comebacks in League Pro Play history. However, while a game-winning play is of course something that will always be impressive, when it comes to these clutch pop-off moments, there really isn't a better time for a player to showcase their insane mechanical capabilities than when a championship title is on the line. You see, during the LCS 2016 Summer Finals, TSM and Cloud9 found themselves squaring off in this best of 5 series after TSM had handily smashed CLG in the semifinals, while Cloud9 found a less expected victory over the more favored opposition of Immortals. And though it seemed as if Cloud9 would continue their winning ways after taking game 1 of this finals series, it would be TSM who would ultimately strike back, taking games 2 and 3 from the regular season 3rd seed, heading into a potentially series-ending game 4. Now, despite C9 having a bit of a rough start due to Jensen being caught out from an unsuccessful invade, with their backs against the wall, the team managed to stay within touching distance of TSM, and thanks in part to a great Gnar ultimate by Impact, eventually finding themselves a Baron, allowing the team to finally secure a stable gold lead. However, even though TSM now found themselves on the back foot, Doublelift's Lucian still had a fair amount of kills to his name, and even if he wasn't exactly the most terrifying member on his team, given the time he would be able to dish out some serious damage. And with C9 trying to establish themselves mid lane prio before both Elder and Baron, unsurprisingly a fight broke out, and with his second LCS title on the line, it was time for Doublelift to give both his opponents and the world a masterclass on what peak Lucian actually looks like.
No Guardian Angel for Meteos, whereas TSM still have 2.
The Weaver's Wall!
Weaver's Wall catches up a couple. Now can they have the follow-up damage? A couple of stuns come in. They've got Bjergsen, and they shut him down with a 1600 damage crit.
Can they get double?
Low. Meteos, another knockup, trades his life, but it does. Gets the GA. Double killing them all. Kills everybody. They've got 3. Impact goes down. An ace for TSM.
Now, though this play has been regarded as one of the greatest of Doublelift's long career, if we're talking about a single clutch outplay defining a player, we needn't look any further than xPeke's unforgettable maneuvers during IEM Katowice in 2013. Headed into this crucial match, the stakes were high, as the winner of this series would advance to the tournament semifinals, and in the process, fans would be treated to an exciting mid lane matchup between both Fnatic's xPeke and SK Gaming's Ocelot. While xPeke had already cemented himself as one of the best mid laners in the world, thanks in part to having been on Fnatic's World Championship winning roster, his opponent and rising star Ocelot looked to give this legend a run for his money, and at least early on, he certainly succeeded, as after managing to acquire a respectable lead on Elise while SK pulled notably ahead of Fnatic, it seemed that this Spanish streamer would help pave the way for this German organization's trip to the semifinals. That is, until after 40 minutes of game time, SK overextended in their efforts to try and deal the killing blow to the already wounded Fnatic, with multiple catch-outs leading to both teams' bases taking some serious beatings. However, despite things finally looking as if they had fallen back into complete control of SK as they managed to charge down mid lane after successful base defense, instead of trying to stop what would have been the game-finishing push, Fnatic's xPeke took a risk, saw an opening, and made history.
You can see he's coming in there. Peke is definitely up towards the Nexus. Kevin is going to be able to go towards him. He's trying to do it, but meanwhile they're in the base. Yellowstar's trying to defend them in the base. Peke is trying to take the Nexus down. Is anyone going to be able to deal with this one? Catches him with another axe. He's very low. They're pushing on the Nexus to his Peke back to back. I do not believe it. Peke stuck in there. Catching it. Takes down the Nexus. But now he's going crazy. Back again.
But surprisingly, this still isn't even the most legendary play in League Esports history, nor is it even the most legendary play that the game witnessed in 2013, as over in Korea just a few months later, fans witnessed the birth of the greatest play in the scene's competitive history.
I'm like, even though I only have a mat on the floor, I think he's in the bed. Oh, Faker maybe in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves. Faker, what was that?
Faker with a huge play, the QSS.
I can't believe I just saw
he
that.
actually won that duel.
I can't believe that happened.
Telecom
I'm
just charges into the KT Bullets base.
But now, even though this play is without a doubt in the conversation for being the most well-known in all of esports, something that seems to be lost on a lot of people is that beyond the insane mechanics of Faker Zed, the context behind the outplay is so incredibly important to why these skills were so impressive. You see, SKT found themselves in a best-of-5 matchup facing against the KT Bullets for the OGN 2013 Summer Finals, and despite having opened the series with back-to-back losses, this up-and-coming team had managed to pull back even into the series with a 2-2 scoreline headed into Game 5. And though it's no longer allowed in professional play, back then during Game 5 of a best-of-5 series, both teams were allowed to select the same champions, leading to both Faker and Ryu locking in Zed. However, this wasn't the only mirror matchup that led to this play being possible, as you may have noticed both top laners locked in Shen, but despite having both of their Stand United ultimates up, neither Insect nor Impact decided to interfere with the fight, which regardless of these being good decisions on their behalf or not, ultimately led to the greatest outplay in League professional history. Though if you're more interested in the history of the most broken metas that League of Legends has ever seen, you should check out our most recent video covering the most broken metas in League of Legends history, which I'm sure you'll enjoy. This has been Simply Spent with Silver Scrapes. Thanks for watching and take care.